In the heart of the sprawling city, a compassionate doctor, having just finished a grueling day, stumbled upon a distressing scene: a young girl lying injured on the street, her fragile form a stark contrast against the harsh urban landscape. Without hesitation, he sprang into action, his hands steady despite the chaos of the moment. He carefully assessed her condition and performed a life-saving operation, his every movement driven by a profound sense of urgency and care. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell to avoid missing any videos. The operation was a success, but the emotional toll was immense. When he finally returned home and turned on the television, he was met with the heart-wrenching image of the girl's face displayed prominently on the evening news. The shock and disbelief that washed over him were palpable. He was now a part of her story in a way he hadn't anticipated. The clock's hands had just about reached 8 p.m. When Alexander left the sterile confines of the hospital, the weight of his responsibilities pressing down on him like a heavy cloak. The city outside was eerily serene, with only the occasional distant car piercing the silence that enveloped the streets. He adjusted his backpack, feeling the accumulated strain of the day pressing down on his shoulders. Each step he took toward his apartment was both a physical and emotional journey, a rare moment of respite from the whirlwind of his profession. The route, familiar and comforting, had become his sanctuary, a place where he could let his thoughts flow freely and reflect on the complex path that had led him to this point. At only 28 years old, Alexander had already made significant strides in his medical career, his skills and dedication earning him respect in his field. However, his journey had begun long before his professional accomplishments. From an early age, he had harbored an unyielding dream of becoming a doctor, a dream that was nurtured and supported by his mother, Jenny. Despite the numerous obstacles and hardships they faced, Jenny had always been his unwavering pillar of support, her encouragement a beacon of hope. Her untimely death, a result of kidney disease that could not be treated in time, had left a profound void in his life. The loss was a heart-wrenching blow, but it also served as a powerful motivator. Her passing ignited a fierce resolve within him, driving him to immerse himself in his studies and become a surgeon who could make a real difference in the world. As Alexander walked the familiar path to his apartment, his mind was filled with memories of Jenny. He recalled her gentle smile, her words of encouragement, and the boundless love she had given him. The dream she had helped cultivate in him was now a driving force in his life, guiding him through the trials and triumphs of his career. Each step he took was a tribute to her memory, a reminder of the promise he had made to himself and to her to strive for excellence and compassion in his work. The path he walked was more than just a route home. It was a journey of reflection, gratitude, and continued dedication to the legacy of hope and ambition that Jenny had instilled in him. As Alexander continued his reflective walk through the quiet streets, a sudden, poignant scene drew his attention. A small figure, hunched and forlorn, was seated on the cold sidewalk of a nearby park. Intrigued and concerned, he approached with a sense of urgency. To his dismay, he found a young girl, perhaps no older than 9, sobbing uncontrollably. She clutched her arm tightly, her face contorted in evident pain. His medical instincts, honed through years of rigorous training and real-world experience, immediately took over. "Hello, my name is Alexander. Are you hurt?" he asked gently, kneeling beside her to offer comfort and support. Between her sobs, the girl managed to reply, "My arm hurts a lot. I'm Alice." Alexander swiftly examined Alice's arm and his heart sank as he realized it was indeed broken. The urgency of the situation was clear, and he knew he had to act quickly. "Alice, I'm going to take you to the hospital to get this looked at. Is that all right with you?" he asked with a reassuring tone. Alice nodded through her tears, and Alexander carefully lifted her into his arms, his mind racing as he made his way to his car. The hospital was just a few blocks away, but to Alice, the journey felt interminable. She gripped her injured arm with a grimace, trying to stifle the pain. Alexander could see the distress etched across her face and knew that every second mattered. Upon reaching the hospital, Alexander brought Alice to the emergency room, where he promptly requested an X-ray of her arm. While they waited for the results, he did his best to soothe Alice's fears. He shared stories from his childhood, recounting how he had always dreamed of becoming a doctor, hoping to provide some comfort and distraction. When the X-ray results came in, they confirmed Alexander's fears. Alice's arm was indeed fractured and would require surgical intervention. The absence of the chief surgeon, Mr. Morris, created a challenging dilemma. Alexander was well aware that the surgery was straightforward and routine, but without the chief surgeon's approval, he faced potential repercussions. However, the sight of Alice's pain and his promise to help those in need compelled him to make a decision. "We're going to get through this together, Alice. I promise you'll be okay," he said with a determined yet comforting tone. He hoped to provide her with some reassurance amid the chaos. The surgery proceeded smoothly and efficiently. Alexander opted for local anesthesia to reduce risks, and the operation was a success. Alice's arm was carefully set in a cast, and she finally began to relax. Yet Alexander was acutely aware of the complexities of her situation. The cost of the surgery had yet to be addressed, and several medical formalities were still pending. "Alice, I need to take you home now. You can't stay in the hospital," he said gently. His heart ached at the sight of her tear-streaked face. "But I need to get back to my house." "My mom must be so worried," Alice responded, her voice trembling with concern. Alexander nodded sympathetically. "We'll figure this out together, okay? We'll make sure everything is sorted out." His words were meant to offer reassurance, but he knew there were many hurdles to overcome. As he guided Alice out of the hospital, he was committed to helping her navigate this challenging moment, drawing on both his professional skills and compassionate heart. Back at his apartment, Alexander found himself grappling with a series of pressing concerns. He attempted to gather information about Alice's residence or a contact number for her family, but the trauma from the accident had left the young girl disoriented and unable to recall any pertinent details. Seeing her distress, Alexander tried to offer comfort. "Don't worry, Alice. We'll sort everything out tomorrow. For now, let's just rest," he said soothingly as he covered her with a warm blanket on the sofa. As Alice's breathing grew steady and rhythmic, signaling that she had fallen into a deep sleep, Alexander sank into his armchair, feeling the weight of exhaustion settle over him. His mind was a whirlwind of conflicting emotions: deep concern for Alice's well-being, anxiety about the potential fallout from his unsanctioned actions at the hospital, and an overwhelming sense of duty. Despite the uncertainty and potential consequences he faced, Alexander was resolute. He was driven by a renewed sense of purpose and a commitment to honor his mother's memory by extending compassion and aid to those in need. The first light of dawn barely pierced the horizon when Alexander awoke, his body feeling the brunt of the few hours of restless sleep. He shuffled to the kitchen, brewed a quick cup of coffee, and checked on Alice, who remained peacefully asleep on the sofa. Taking a deep breath, he wrote a brief note explaining that he had to head to work but would return soon. He left the TV on and placed some snacks within easy reach for Alice, hoping they would offer her some comfort and a sense of security while he was away. Arriving at the hospital, Alexander barely had time to collect himself before he was approached by a nurse with a look of concern etched on her face. "Doctor." "Alexander, Mr. Morse requests your immediate presence in his office," she said, her tone conveying the gravity of the situation. A knot tightened in Alexander's chest as he followed the nurse down the sterile, fluorescent-lit corridors to the chief surgeon's office. Entering the office, Alexander was met by Mr. Morris, who sat behind his imposing desk, his expression stern and unreadable. "Sit down," Morris instructed, his voice carrying a note of authority that sent a chill down Alexander's spine. With a deep breath, Alexander took a seat, trying to mask his nervousness. "I've been made aware of some troubling reports," Morris began, his tone unyielding. "It's come to my attention that you performed an unauthorized surgery on a child last night. The gravity of the accusation was clear, and Alexander felt a surge of anxiety as he prepared to address the situation. Alexander took a deep, steadying breath before he began to speak. "Yes, sir. The situation was critical. The girl, Alice, had a severely broken arm and required immediate surgical intervention. You were not available at the time, and in the absence of an alternative, I decided to proceed with the operation," he explained, his voice tinged with both urgency and remorse. Morris leaned back in his chair, a deep sigh escaping his lips as he rubbed his temples with weary fingers. "I understand your intentions, Alexander. It's clear you acted out of a desire to help, and your compassion is commendable. However, there are established protocols and procedures that must be adhered to, while your actions were driven by goodwill. They also exposed the hospital to significant risks and complications. We cannot overlook that." A tightening grip of anxiety wrapped around Alexander's chest, making it difficult to breathe. He knew Morris's words were justified, but the thought of abandoning Alice in her time of need was almost too painful to bear. "I understand, sir. I acted in what I believed was the best interest of the patient. I am prepared to face whatever consequences arise from my decision," he said, trying to maintain a composed demeanor. Morris scrutinized him for a long, heavy moment, his gaze both stern and thoughtful. "Alexander, you are one of our most skilled surgeons, but maintaining order and safety within the hospital is paramount. Therefore, I must inform you that you are terminated from your position." The weight of Morris's words hit Alexander like a crushing blow. He rose from his chair, the sense of desolation settling over him like a dark cloud. Without another word, he exited the office, his steps heavy and burdened with the weight of his actions. Returning to his apartment, Alexander found Alice still resting peacefully on the sofa. The sight of her serene face contrasted sharply with the turmoil within him. He exhaled deeply, attempting to come to terms with the whirlwind of events that had unfolded. Seeking a distraction, he turned on the television and began flipping through the channels, hoping to find some solace. His attention was suddenly captured by a news segment. The screen displayed a breaking report about a missing child, and to his horror, Alice's photo appeared prominently. Alexander's heart pounded with alarm. "This has to be about Alice," he murmured to himself, reaching for the remote and increasing the volume. The news anchor's voice was tense and urgent as they described Alice's disappearance, showing images of her mother, Victoria, who looked devastated and desperate for any information about her missing daughter. A phone number flashed on the screen, offering a way to provide information. Without hesitation, Alexander grabbed his cell phone, his hands trembling slightly as he dialed the number, hoping that his call might bring some relief to the unfolding crisis. "Hello," answered a voice on the other end, trembling with a palpable sense of anxiety. "Hello, my name is Alexander. I'm with Alice, the girl you've been searching for. She is safe and well," Alexander said, trying to infuse his voice with as much reassurance as he could muster. The line fell silent for a brief, tense moment before Victoria's voice returned, this time laced with a mix of hope and despair. "Where is she? Can I see her?" she asked, her voice quivering with a mix of fear and longing. "Yes, of course. I'll give you the address, but please, come calmly." "Alice is a bit frightened," Alexander instructed gently. Victoria expressed her gratitude repeatedly before ending the call. Alexander's gaze shifted to Alice, still peacefully asleep on the sofa, her small form appearing vulnerable under the blanket. He took a moment to steady his nerves, knowing that the next steps were crucial. With a sense of urgency, he took out his cell phone and, careful not to disturb Alice's slumber, snapped a photo of her resting peacefully. He sent the image to Victoria along with a brief note: "Here is Alice. She is safe and well. I will wait for you at the address I provided." The minutes ticked by slowly for Alexander, each one stretching into what felt like an eternity. The knowledge that Alice's mother was likely in a state of deep distress weighed heavily on him. His thoughts raced, trying to find solace or distraction from the mounting anxiety. The ringing of the doorbell suddenly broke the tense silence, its sound sharp and jarring. Alexander's heart raced as he made his way to the door, hoping to see Victoria's relieved face. Instead, he was met by Victoria, accompanied by 2 police officers, their expressions grave and stern. "Are you Alexander?" one of the officers asked, their tone formal and unyielding. "Yes, that's me," Alexander responded, a chill of apprehension running down his spine. "We need to talk to you." "Please come with us," said the other officer, already retrieving a pair of handcuffs from his belt. Victoria's eyes, red and filled with tears, locked onto Alexander with a mix of confusion and desperation. "Where is my daughter?" she demanded, her voice cracking under the weight of her fear and concern. Before Alexander could offer any explanation, the officers firmly placed the handcuffs around his wrists and began to escort him out of the apartment. Alexander's mind raced as he struggled to comprehend the unfolding situation. The weight of the situation felt unbearable, and as he was led away, he cast a final, worried glance back at Alice, his heart aching with the uncertainty of what lay ahead. "Wait," Alexander called out, trying to convey his innocence amidst the chaos. "Alice is right here. She's safe and well. I was only trying to help her." Despite his attempts to clarify, the officers maintained their stern demeanor, keeping Alexander's hands securely restrained as they entered the apartment. One of the officers turned to Victoria and said, "Ma'am, can you show us where the girl is?" Victoria, visibly shaken but resolute, nodded and led the officers through the apartment, her steps heavy with worry. She guided them to the guest room, where Alice lay on the bed, her arm encased in a cast. Victoria's face was a mixture of relief and confusion as she knelt beside her daughter, tenderly brushing a lock of hair away from Alice's forehead. "She's okay," Victoria whispered to the officers, her voice trembling with a mix of emotions. The officers approached Alice, checking on her condition while she remained peacefully asleep. One of them turned to Alexander, who was still handcuffed, and said, "Sir, it seems there has been some confusion here. We need to clarify the situation. Could you please explain exactly what happened?" Alexander breathed a sigh of relief as he began to recount the events with meticulous detail. He described finding Alice alone and in distress at the park, his swift decision to transport her to the hospital, and the subsequent surgery he performed to mend her broken arm. Victoria listened intently, her expression gradually shifting from anxiety to understanding as Alexander's narrative unfolded. "I was desperate," Sir Victoria said to the officer, her voice laced with a mixture of relief and anguish. "I thought she was lost forever." The officer, recognizing the gravity of the situation and the sincerity of Alexander's actions, addressed him with a more understanding tone. "We'll need to review this matter thoroughly. For now, you're free to go, but please be aware that we will be following up on this case." With that, the officers removed the handcuffs and prepared to leave, their expressions now reflecting a more nuanced understanding of the circumstances. As the officers departed, Victoria turned to Alexander, her eyes brimming with gratitude. "Thank you so much for saving my daughter," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I don't know how to repay you for what you've done." Alexander, still processing the whirlwind of emotions and events, managed a reassuring smile. "Just knowing that Alice is safe is enough," he replied. "I'm glad I could help." The sincerity in his voice seemed to ease some of the tension in the room, and as Victoria embraced her daughter, Alexander felt a profound sense of fulfillment, despite the challenges that lay ahead. Alexander, still grappling with the weight of the recent events, shook his head slowly, his face etched with a deep, contemplative sadness. "There's no need for gratitude," he murmured, his voice tinged with a profound weariness. "I'm simply relieved that Alice is out of harm's way." Victoria, overcome with a whirlwind of emotions, enveloped Alice in a fervent embrace, her heart swelling with both relief and love. Alexander observed the tender moment with a conflicted heart, a blend of relief and melancholy swirling within him. He was acutely aware that despite his sincere intentions, the choices he made had unwittingly led to unforeseen and difficult consequences. After exchanging a few more heartfelt words of gratitude, Victoria and Alice departed, leaving Alexander standing alone in the now eerily quiet apartment. As the door clicked shut behind them, Alexander felt an immense weight settle on his chest. He was aware that his actions had stemmed from a place of duty and compassion, but the personal toll had been significant. His career, his reputation, and his future now lay shrouded in uncertainty. Despite the turmoil and the unsettling emotions that threatened to overwhelm him, he found a flicker of solace in the knowledge that Alice was safe and nestled in her mother's loving arms. He sank into the worn armchair, his mind awash with thoughts about what lay ahead. Though the road before him was obscured by shadows, he resolved to persist in his mission of aiding others, even if it meant confronting new and daunting challenges. With unwavering determination, Oscar's voice, firm and resolute, cut through the tension as he turned his gaze towards Alexander, his scrutiny palpable. "Doctor, Alexander, I need you to recount precisely what transpired." Alexander took a deep breath and recounted the harrowing details of his encounter with Alice, his journey to the hospital, and the critical emergency surgery he performed. Oscar listened intently, his eyes never wavering from Alexander's face, absorbing every word with a focused intensity. Turning to Maurice, the chief surgeon, Oscar's question was direct and incisive. "Maurice, is what Dr. Alexander has said accurate?" Maurice, visibly uneasy, nodded in reluctant agreement. "Yes, Mr. Guzman, but I was strictly adhering to the hospital's established protocols." Oscar took a moment to reflect, his expression serious as he weighed the gravity of the situation. Finally, he spoke with a tone of finality. "Maurice, while I commend your dedication to the protocols, flexibility is crucial in emergencies. Dr. Alexander's actions were both necessary and correct in preserving a life. Your failure to recognize this has led to your dismissal. Dr. Alexander, from this moment forward, you are appointed as the new chief of surgery at this hospital." Alexander was utterly astonished, his mind struggling to process the enormity of what he had just heard. "Sir, I'm at a loss for words. Thank you so much," he stammered, his voice thick with emotion. Victoria's face brightened with a contented smile, her satisfaction evident as the weight of the situation began to lift. Oscar, with a reassuring gesture, placed a comforting hand on Alexander's shoulder. "Just continue the exceptional work you've been doing," Oscar advised with a tone of earnest encouragement. "This hospital needs dedicated individuals like you." As Alexander and Victoria exited the office, a surge of hope and renewed determination washed over him. Victoria, with her gentle and supportive demeanor, looked at him with a smile that conveyed her heartfelt support. "You truly deserve this, Alexander," she said warmly. "And I'm here to assist you with whatever you need." In the days that followed Victoria's uplifting revelation, Alexander's life began to undergo a profound transformation. The announcement of his new role as chief of surgery spread swiftly throughout the hospital, evoking a blend of admiration and intrigue from his colleagues. Yet it was not just the prestigious position that marked the most significant change, but the constant, supportive presence of Victoria and Alice in his life. Alexander and Victoria's interactions increased significantly. Initially, their meetings were centered around hospital matters, but these professional discussions soon evolved into shared lunches and coffee breaks. What began as routine work-related conversations blossomed into genuine moments of camaraderie and friendship. Victoria, with her sharp intellect and unwavering sense of justice, admired Alexander for more than his surgical prowess. She respected his compassion and bravery. In turn, Alexander found in Victoria not just a colleague but a steadfast ally who deeply understood the trials of his profession and offered unwavering support. Their friendship began to deepen, moving beyond professional boundaries to embrace personal topics. Conversations that once revolved around work transitioned into heartfelt discussions about life, dreams, and fears. Alexander felt a newfound comfort in sharing stories about his mother, Jenny, and the inspiration she had provided for his medical career. Victoria reciprocated by opening up about her own childhood experiences and the valuable lessons she had gleaned from her father, Oscar. Alice, meanwhile, thrived with the newfound stability in her life. She looked forward to Alexander's frequent visits and cherished the small, affectionate gestures he showed, whether it was assisting with her schoolwork or enjoying playful moments in the park. To her, Alexander became a paternal figure, a constant source of comfort and joy. Her radiant smile was a testament to the nurturing environment that was forming around her. One serene day in the park, Alice reached out and clasped Alexander's hand as they strolled together, her small fingers intertwining with his. Victoria observed from a distance, her heart warmed by the sight. The evolving dynamics between them, filled with trust and affection, were beginning to resemble the closeness of a true family. "Uncle Alexander, will you join us for dinner tonight?" Alice asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement and hope. Alexander glanced at Victoria, who responded with a warm, encouraging nod. "Alice, I'd be delighted to," he replied, his heart brimming with genuine joy. That evening, the dinner table was alive with laughter and shared stories. Victoria's home, which had once felt vast and empty, now resonated with warmth and vibrancy. Alice shone with happiness, and Victoria's heart swelled with joy, witnessing her daughter's contentment. After the meal, while Alice busied herself with a drawing in the living room, Victoria and Alexander retreated to the kitchen for a quieter conversation. "Thank you, Alexander," Victoria said earnestly, her voice filled with gratitude. "You've brought so much joy into our lives." "No, Victoria, it's I who should be thanking you," Alexander replied with a heartfelt smile. "You've brought so much happiness into my life as well. I truly feel at home here." The bond between Alexander and Victoria was evolving into something profound. There was a special, unspoken connection growing between them, a blend of respect, admiration, and increasing affection. It was a bond that transcended mere friendship, deepening with each passing day. As the evening drew to a close, Alexander bade a warm farewell to Victoria and Alice, promising to visit again soon. Walking back to his apartment, he reflected on how fortunate he felt to have encountered such remarkable people. He sensed that he was on the path to building something meaningful, something his beloved mother, Jenny, would be immensely proud of. Victoria, meanwhile, was still glowing with happiness as she tucked Alice into bed. The changes in her life were undeniable, and she recognized Alexander's pivotal role in this new chapter. As she turned off the lights and prepared for sleep, she couldn't help but feel optimistic about the future. The prospect of having Alexander by her side filled her with hope and excitement. And so, as the days passed, the bond between Alexander, Victoria, and Alice grew ever stronger. It was a bond marked by love, friendship, and mutual support, promising a future filled with new hopes and boundless possibilities for all of them. The weeks flew by, and the bond between Alexander and Victoria grew deeper and more steadfast. Their days together were filled with affection and understanding, creating a routine that was both comforting and meaningful. Alexander felt a profound change within himself due to the presence of Victoria and Alice in his life, and he knew he was ready to take their relationship to the next level. He longed for this transformation to be permanent and integral to his life. One evening, during a lively family dinner, Alexander decided it was time to act on his feelings. The atmosphere was joyful, with Alice enthusiastically discussing her latest school projects and Victoria sharing amusing anecdotes from her day at the hospital. Alexander, though nervous, felt a surge of confidence and knew this was the right moment. "Victoria, could we have a private chat after dinner?" Alexander asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "Of course, Alexander," Victoria responded, her smile warm yet curious. As soon as dinner ended and Alice was absorbed in her drawings in the living room, Alexander and Victoria moved to the tranquil porch. The night air was gentle, with a soothing breeze carrying the distant hum of the city. They sat together, the atmosphere serene and intimate. "Victoria, there's something important I've been wanting to discuss," Alexander began, gently taking her hand in his. "Since I became a part of your lives, I've experienced feelings I never thought possible. You and Alice have become my family, and I can't imagine my life without you." Victoria looked at him with eyes that shimmered with anticipation and emotion, sensing the gravity of the moment. "Victoria, I love you. I love Alice, and I want us to be a true family. Will you be my girlfriend?" he asked, his heart pounding with vulnerability and hope. Victoria's eyes filled with tears of joy as she smiled broadly. "Alexander, I love you too, and there's nothing I desire more than to be with you." "Yes, I will be your girlfriend," she replied, wrapping her arms around him in a heartfelt embrace. A wave of immense happiness and relief washed over Alexander as he heard her words. They shared a tender kiss, marking the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. From a distance, Alice watched the touching moment unfold and, unable to contain her excitement, ran towards them with a radiant smile. "Uncle Alexander, does this mean you're going to be ours now?" she asked with wide-eyed enthusiasm. "Yes," Alexander replied, lifting her into his arms and spinning her around joyfully. "We are a real family now." From that pivotal moment forward, the bond between Alexander and Victoria flourished with even greater depth. Their relationship extended beyond their personal lives into a dynamic and effective partnership at the hospital. Alexander earned increasing respect and admiration from his colleagues, not only for his remarkable surgical skills but also for his unwavering integrity and compassion. The positive changes were palpable. Patients sensed a profound shift in the atmosphere. Alexander exuded confidence and a sense of security that resonated throughout the hospital, marking him not only as a talented physician, but also as a natural leader who approached care with a holistic perspective. Alice, thrilled at the prospect of Alexander becoming a permanent fixture in her life, reveled in the newfound stability and affection. Her days were filled with joy and learning, and she felt enveloped in love and security. The family they had built together was a haven of warmth and connection, making each day brighter and more meaningful. One sunny weekend, the trio set out for a picnic in a nearby park. The afternoon was a tapestry of laughter, playful games, and tender moments of connection. As Alexander watched Victoria and Alice, their happiness radiating in the golden sunlight, he felt a profound sense of peace and fulfillment. Despite the challenges and trials that life had presented, he felt he had finally found his place in the world. "You mean everything to me," Alexander said, drawing Victoria close and enveloping Alice in a warm hug. "And you are everything to us," Victoria responded, her voice soft with emotion as she kissed him tenderly. Thus Alexander, Victoria, and Alice continued their lives in a rhythm of harmony and happiness. They navigated challenges together, offering unwavering support and celebrating every small victory. Their love for one another deepened daily, infusing their lives with renewed hopes and boundless possibilities for the future. Months after their engagement, the couple's lives were filled with the thrill of anticipation and the busyness of wedding planning. Every detail was meticulously considered, from the choice of venue to the selection of flowers and menu. Each decision was a testament to the love they cherished, transforming their upcoming nuptials into a grand celebration of their enduring commitment to each other. Alice, now 11 years old, was radiant with excitement as the wedding approached. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and she took her role as maid of honor to heart with boundless energy. Every aspect of the preparation seemed to come alive with her joy, turning the house into a vibrant hub of activity and laughter. "Mom, look at this dress," Alice announced, practically glowing as she held up a catalog showcasing various maid of honor dresses. Her eyes sparkled with anticipation. "I think this one would be perfect for the ceremony. Just look at the way it flows." Victoria, her heart swelling with pride and love for her daughter, took the catalog from Alice and examined the selections. "This dress is stunning, Alice. It's just as beautiful as you imagined," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "We'll schedule some fittings to find the one that suits you best." As Victoria and Alice delved into the details of the ceremony, spending hours selecting the perfect dress and planning every intricate detail, Alexander took on the responsibility of organizing the reception. He was deeply committed to ensuring that every element of the celebration would be memorable and extraordinary. From coordinating with vendors to choosing the perfect menu, Alexander devoted himself to making the event a reflection of their shared love and happiness. The road to the big day wasn't without its hurdles. The planning process brought its fair share of stress and tough decisions. There were moments when the pressure seemed overwhelming, and the weight of responsibility was heavy. However, the family's unity and deep-seated love for each other provided a powerful source of strength. They faced each obstacle with resilience, tackling challenges with patience and a shared commitment to making the day special. "I know this can be incredibly stressful at times," Alexander said, gently squeezing Victoria's hand during one particularly intense moment. His voice was steady, offering reassurance. "But we're in this together. No matter what happens, it will be a perfect day because we'll be celebrating with those we love." Victoria met his gaze, her face illuminated by a reassuring smile despite the stress they were experiencing. "You're right, Alexander. The most important thing is our happiness and the joy of celebrating our love. We have each other, and that's what truly matters." Their dedication to each other and their shared vision of a beautiful day made each challenge easier to overcome. The wedding preparations, though demanding, became a testament to their love and commitment. As the days passed, the anticipation grew, and the excitement surrounding their special day continued to build. Each moment spent planning and preparing brought them closer together, creating memories and reinforcing their bond. The anticipation of the wedding day was not just about the event itself, but also about the journey they were taking as a family. It was a journey marked by love, support, and the shared goal of creating a celebration that would honor their deep connection and the bright future they were building together. The wedding day dawned with an aura of enchantment and joy, a testament to the love that Alexander and Victoria had nurtured. The ceremony took place in a breathtaking garden, awash with the vibrant colors of blooming flowers. The setting was nothing short of magical, with petals creating a natural carpet beneath the couple, and the sun casting a warm, golden glow over everything. As Alexander and Victoria stood before their closest friends and family, their vows were a heartfelt exchange of promises and dreams. Their words were filled with sincerity as they pledged to love, support, and cherish each other for the rest of their lives. The air was thick with emotion, and every gaze was fixed on the couple, captivated by the beauty of their commitment. Alice, stepping into her role as maid of honor with grace and enthusiasm, looked radiant. Dressed in a beautifully chosen gown, she held the rings with a mix of pride and excitement. Her face was a picture of happiness as she watched her mother and Alexander pledge their lives to each other. The joy in her eyes was a reflection of the profound sense of unity and love that surrounded them. The reception that followed was a jubilant celebration, overflowing with laughter, music, and dance. The venue was alive with the sounds of joyous chatter and the clinking of glasses, as guests reveled in the union of Alexander and Victoria. The meal was exquisite, with every dish thoughtfully prepared, adding to the festive atmosphere. Heartfelt speeches and toasts filled the room, each one a testament to the impact the couple had on their lives and the deep affection everyone felt for them. As the evening wore on, the couple shared their first dance as husband and wife. The moment was pure magic, with Alexander and Victoria dancing slowly under the soft glow of the dimmed lights, their hearts beating in sync. They held each other close, lost in the intimacy of the dance and the profound joy of their union. It was a perfect moment, encapsulating the essence of their journey together. Victoria gazed at Alexander with a loving smile, her eyes brimming with emotion. "I couldn't have asked for a better partner, Alexander," she said softly. "This day has exceeded every dream I ever had." Alexander responded with a tender kiss and a heartfelt reply. "I feel the same, Victoria. Every day with you is a gift, and I am so grateful for the love we share and the family we have built together." The wedding marked the beginning of a new chapter in their lives, one filled with promise and hope. The love and joy they experienced on that day were the foundation for a lifetime of happiness. As Alexander, Victoria, and Alice continued to grow as a family, they faced life's challenges with unwavering support and unity. Their love story was more than a simple romance, it was a profound testament to the power of love and family. It was a narrative of overcoming obstacles, discovering deep happiness, and creating a life filled with support and affection. Each step they took together was a step towards a future rich with love and adventure. And so, hand in hand, Alexander and Victoria embarked on their journey, ready to embrace whatever the future held. With the love and strength of their newly formed family, they faced the world with confidence, knowing that they had found their true home in each other and in the bond they had created. As we reach the end of this heartfelt journey, we hope you found inspiration and valuable insights in the story of Alexander, Victoria, and Alice. Their journey teaches us about the transformative power of love, resilience, and the importance of building meaningful connections with those around us. Reflecting on their experiences, what have you learned that resonates with you the most? We invite you to share one key takeaway or lesson that you plan to apply in your own life in the comments section below. Your thoughts and reflections not only enrich our community but also help us grow together. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content that inspires and uplifts. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue bringing valuable stories and lessons to you. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.